treasures here on PRTC TV Channel 9. Today we are at the Jackson County Regional Food Center in Annville, just off of Wellsburg Road here, next door to the Farmers Market. And today we're talking about making homemade barbecue sauce here at the Regional Food Center. With me is Jeff Henderson, the Jackson County Extension Agent. And Jeff, this is really an amazing thing that's come about, this Regional Food Center. Tell us how this process all began and how this building became what it is now.
Okay, well, there's a nonprofit group that was started in Jackson County called 3AJC. The 3A's are Appalachian Alternative Agriculture Jackson County, and the acronym is 3AJC. And that's a group of local volunteers that formed a nonprofit group that were looking at ways to do substitutes for tobacco back around the year 1999, 2000, 2001. And one of the things that they discovered were there were a lot of farmers that wanted to make product, or there were a lot of people that wanted to value add to what they were growing in their gardens. They wanted to go beyond selling just fresh market, and they wanted to make their own products. So there was no infrastructure in place anywhere in the area, or even in the state hardly, to do this type of work. So they started looking at building this multi-purpose facility that has a farmer's market and has a fully equipped multi-purpose kitchen. It's a food processing kitchen that anyone who has a recipe, grandma's jam recipe, or any product that they want to grow. If they want to turn peppers and tomatoes into salsa, they can come here and do it. They can take the recipe, get it approved. There's a few steps you have to go through, but it's really not that big of a deal. And instead of, for example, getting $1 a head at the farmer's market for cabbage, you might get $5 a pound for coleslaw after you process it here in the kitchen, in this food center. So this group worked very hard for about 8 or 10 years and finally got this project up and going in 2010.
Now this is I'm assuming a state-funded project, so they had to work with the state to get it done.
There are some state funds in the project. There are some local funds in the project. There's some Jackson County Empowerment Zone money in the project. There was tobacco state settlement funds in the project. There were also some funds that were given to this project from PRTC that were very, very important to this project. So it's been a combination of some state funds, there's been some government funds, and some local funds. So we've had a lot of support and participation in this project from the financing standpoint on the front end.
We're talking with Jeff Henderson, the Jackson County Extension Agent. We're at the Jackson County Regional Food Center. Is this a pretty common thing as far as in the county and the region? Are there a lot of do they have an example to follow with this building here, or is this relatively uncommon?
This is very uncommon. The closest one that we know of, there's one in Ohio, there's one in Indiana, and there's one down in Asheville that do similar things. We have people not only from neighboring counties coming to make their product here, but we also have people coming as far away from Nashville and Chattanooga to make their products here, because this facility is unique. There are what they call community kitchens where you can start a project, but there's not those type of multi-purpose kitchens where you can mass produce that product once you get it made. Like the people that are here today will make several cases of their product. You can come in a few hours. You can make your product. You can bottle it. You can package it. You can label it. You can do up to 2,000 or 3,000 units a day. So for the rental fee of a few hours of kitchen, you can make $8,000 or $10,000 worth of product.
This is really a neat thing, and to really drive this thing home, this is a project that was state funded, local funded, PRTC was involved as well. And the purpose of us on doing these local treasures is to be able to show the community things that are going on here right in your community that you might not know about. We've done Flat Lake Falls and Oakwood Acres and different things. This is a unique one in the way that you look behind you right here on this wall. These are all products that were made here at the Jackson County Regional Food Center. Now, Jeff was talking about that we are able to take a recipe. Well, explain the process to them, because I think a lot of people that might have recipes been handed down from generation to generation, and word of mouth spreads, and you get recipes passed back and forth, but there's always an end to that.
Right.
It goes so far and no further.
Right.
And people may think that it is incredibly complicated, incredibly expensive, and just nearly impossible to be able to do this. But there's thousands and thousands of dollars worth of equipment overhead that if they would utilize this food center, they wouldn't have to do that.
Right, yeah. The steps are fairly simple, and they're not near as much, or there's not near as much trouble to do these type of things as people think. But you got an idea, or you got a recipe, you get that developed. You can come here to the kitchen and do a test batch, and then you send the test batch or a test part of the market or the product plus the recipe, and you send it to UK. They have a innovative food center, and they test it, make sure everything is a go, and then they'll send you a letter saying you can proceed. Once you do that, we have Greg Golden, who's the food center manager here. He can help you find jars, help you find a place to do labels, lids, give you several options, and then you can start making your product. If you were to do this in your home, you would have to probably go through several trainings. You have to have thousands of dollars worth of equipment. You would have to have several certifications. But because the food center is here, you can come in and do your product once you get your recipe approved under the umbrella of the food center, which is already approved by the state, and it makes it a much simpler process. I just want to show, like, here's a product that most people in Jackson County is familiar with. This is Jam with the Generals. The Jackson County High School FFA made this product. Here's a product that the Lee County, the Lee County 4-H Club made here just recently, and it's barcoded, so they can actually sell it in the stores. These products here are products that the nonprofit 3AJC made themselves, and they did it for 2 or 3 reasons. Just to show local people that it's not that hard to do. They came up with their own label idea. They got a local artist, Wanda Hammonds, to make these labels for them, or paint the labels, and then we send them by computer, from my computer to Greg over here at the kitchen. He sent them on to the label company, and they send us proofs. And the labels already have the nutritional facts on them, all the ingredients, and all those kind of things. So from the time that the local group decided they wanted to do this, and like I said, they did it for a couple of reasons, to make some extra income for the kitchen, but to show local people how simple it is to do. It's probably a month turnaround from the time that they decided they wanted to do this until they had the product labeled and ready to go.
Now, this also has an impact too, as you can imagine, with jobs. It has already created, I think you said, several part-time jobs.
Right. When the nonprofit group built this, when 3HSC built this, they thought that they were going to be providing a place for farmers and entrepreneurs and people that had ideas to mass produce their product. One of the things that we didn't realize would happen that's been a great positive is that we would produce 5 or 6 part-time jobs. So there's 5 or 6 local people that have part-time work here. Whenever clients come in and use the facility, lots of times they'll call and schedule a facility, and if they don't bring their own workers, they call ahead and said, we'd like to have some people help us. So that's been a real positive in that we've been able to help the local economy with these jobs.
Now, there's a couple of governing bodies when it comes to having a product, that you always hear things like USDA approved or approved by the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration. You mentioned that when it falls under this Jackson County Regional Food Center umbrella, that instead of an individual going and trying to get several certifications and approvals, if it is manufactured here under the guidelines that already have been approved by the food center, then that is a huge step that is out of the way. So they can cut that step out, they can cut the equipment step out, they can cut the financial step out. So this takes what would be nearly impossible for several reasons for an individual to take a home recipe and get it ready to actually sell in the stores.
Right. It makes it much simpler. Once they get their product, determine the label okay, the letter say they can proceed, then the only other thing they have to do is some of these products have to be registered with the FDA to a certain size jar or bottle. And Greg, the kitchen manager, helps you do that. So once you determine what size jar that you want to use, it depends on the product. It has all to do with acid formulations, which Greg can explain to you, and that's all scientific stuff that I don't know anything about. But some of these products have to be assigned to certain type jars, and that's through the FDA. But Greg takes care of all that for you. So once you get your product up and ready to go, he can help you with all that.
Mark Sulfridge is going to have a lot of shots for you as far as the process. Like today, we're doing some homemade barbecue sauce and have you some shots of the equipment and what's going through all the process from start to finish, all the way from mixing it up in the big vats to taking it all the way to labeling and modeling and getting ready to sell. Now, is there a limit as far as the number of types of things that the Regional Food Center can produce for people?
They cannot do products, because we are not USDA inspected, we cannot do products that have more than 3% meat in them. But an example of things that have been made here, you've got sauces, you've got hot sauces, you've got barbecue sauces, you've got apple sauce, you've got strawberry jam, you've got peach jellies, various type of, there's been various different kinds of salsa products. There's a product called salsa that's been made here, pickled okra, just about anything that you can imagine that you can put in jars and preserve can be done here. Because we're not USDA inspected, and because we do not have a particular milk portion of the kitchen, we can't do things like cheeses and things like that, or anything that has more than 3% meat in it.
But there are literally dozens of different products. That
Absolutely. Everything that you can in the garden, you can do that here. I mean, just imagine all the different things that people can in their gardens. Mm-hmm. They can do that here, or the different products that you can make. Ketchup, spaghetti sauces, as long, something that you can mix with the meat.
You mentioned cabbage items.
Right. Yeah, you got slaw, you got kraut, you got chow chows. Yeah. Here's a chow chow product that the local group does, and this is good. Like the guy from the sausage company says, this is good. Yeah, I've tried this.
So, if you have a recipe or an idea that you have, maybe something, you have every family, you go back far enough in the lineage, sometimes you're going to have something that's been passed down for 200 or 300 years.
That's right.
That has stayed right in the family.
Right.
And you might make it for a dinner on the ground after a church service, or make it for a reunion. But people, this simplifies the process. I'm going to say that it takes 90% of what an individual would have to do out of their way, in both cost, in both trouble, time, aggravation, equipment, everything. So,
right.
This, and now in the summertime, spring and summertime, this next door over here is hopping. We had a chance to be here for the farmer's market, and this is a very active farmer's market. I don't know, we got one in McKee as well, right?
We have farmer's market here in the ANNVILLE facility, at the ANNVILLE facility 3 days a week, Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. We're at the Bond Memorial Park in McKee on Fridays, and we're at the Stand Gap Christian Church on Wednesdays. But we're usually here 3 days a week.
And this place is really hopping, but this is not just farmer's market. You may drive by sometimes on 3444 out here in Welchburg Road, and 3443 rather, and think this is just a farmer's market, but it's so much more than that. And we were talking before we went on the air this morning that the goal from the extension office and from everybody involved in this is it would be great to make this a facility that just hops 12 months out of the year.
Absolutely. Right now through the winter, we're open part-time, or the food center's open part-time as clientele needed. And the clientele numbers that are using the facility are increasing steadily and gradually, but we would love nothing more than to have it to the point where we have 2 or 3 people using this facility on the same day. I understand that there's somebody, the people that make this product was made this week, and they're going to be here later on today to pick their product up. So we'll actually have 2 people in here at once after a while, I think. And that's the kind of thing I think that the nonprofit was looking for. That takes time, but don't let you're thinking that this is impossible stand in the way of doing this type of work.
Could be nothing more than a phone call or recipe.
Sure. They can check with me to get started, or they can call the food center and talk to Greg, and we'll be glad to help anybody any way we can.
So, and you just said, and we'll say more about it right now, if you have a recipe or an idea or something you want to do, whether it's being involved in the farmer's market, and say you're getting ready to put out a big garden here next month, and what is the best way for people both to get involved with selling things at the farmer's market, and also if they've got a recipe, and maybe just want to find out some more information about what it takes to take this step further. Who do they contact, and are the numbers in the phone book, that kind of thing?
Yeah. As far as the farmer's market goes, we've actually already planned our farmer's market training meeting, and we're recruiting people for